Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching 6th and final part of What If Naruto Was the Saiyan of Unknown Breed. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
One of Bardock's opponents couldn't keep up with him and was blasted out of the arena. He went to look for her. When he saw her fighting with a female cat with blue hair, she was trying to avoid her claws. Before he went to help, a girl in a big dress pushed him away. She tried to hit him with punches, but he blocked them and hit her back with his own. Kid Buu was jumping all over and attacking everyone in his way. Some of them were able to get away from him, or he took their key attacks and was destroyed, but he was able to fix himself. Cumber grabbed one of his opponents and swung him around like a club, knocking other people out of the ring before throwing him out of the ring. Cell was getting bored as he kicked people left and right. When he saw Piccolo take out a warrior, he smirked and said, "Looks like the Namekian has gotten stronger." Cell was stopped by a punch from a machine from Universe 6. When the machine kept hitting Cell, Cell had enough and grabbed the robot's arm. He said, "You won't need this," and ripped the machine's arm off before shooting it out of the arena. As Naruto walked backwards, he was on guard, but he didn't know that Goku was also on guard. When they bumped into each other, they both turned around and started throwing fast punches and kicks. Naruto threw several fast kicks and then a roundhouse, which Goku blocked and answered with his own combo of attacks. They split up again and were about to fight again when a ki blast flew between them and stopped their fight. When they turned around, they saw Caulifla standing next to Kale. "I thought she'd show up soon," Naruto said. Goku blinked his eyes in surprise. He asked, "Who is she?" "Caulifla is a Saiyan from Universe 6. Kaba introduced us. The Saiyan on the left is Kale." Naruto told him this. Caulifla told Naruto, "Now I understand why Kaba said you're so special," and then she pointed out Goku. Old fart. Goku was shocked by what she said. She told him straight out, "I saw you change into that blue form. Show me how to do it." This makes Naruto's sweat drop. She had no idea what it took to become a Super Saiyan in blue form. But then, how many Saiyans have you heard of or seen who can use God Ki? Caulifla took a stance and all of a sudden turned into a Super Saiyan, which surprised both of the Saiyans. But she didn't stop there. She also started to get bigger. Caulifla bragged while flexing, "What do you both think about this?" Goku smiled a little. Pretty impressive. Naruto could tell by the way she stood that she didn't have this form. From what he could see, she gave up speed for power. Caulifla said confidently, "I'll take you both on," and ran towards them. She started to hit Naruto with punches, which he was able to avoid with ease. He took one of her punches and threw it at the Earth Saiyan, who easily dodged it. This made her fall. What the hell? Caulifla couldn't figure out where she went wrong. Naruto said, "You're strong, but it looks like you're not fast in that form." Caulifla tried to stand up, but she looked like she was having a hard time. "It's not very good for long fights, either," Goku said. The body of Caulifla changed back to a normal SSJ. "Well, since you're a Super Saiyan, I think I should step it up a notch." Goku clenched his fist and started to power up more. He let out a loud shout as energy exploded from him and lightning crackled around him, which meant he was in Super Saiyan 2. Goku asked with a smile, "What do you think about this?" Naruto saw that Caulifla was amazed by the change. She started asking Goku a lot of questions, which made him laugh. He quickly turned around when he felt something coming at him and blocked a ki blast. He knew it was Kale because he looked embarrassed, but he didn't back down. He decided to be gentle with her and turned back into his normal form. He then charged at her and started his attack. Goku stopped Caulifla from helping, so the two of them kept fighting. Naruto was hitting Kale, but not with full force. She kicked back, but he caught it and tripped her other leg, causing her to fall. "Kale, was it?" She stood up and gave a hesitant yes. He said, "I can see you look weak right now," which made her flinch and look down. At the end, he said in a cold voice, "But you have a power deep inside you that you need to bring out, or I'll knock you out of the ring." The scared Saiyan girl didn't know what to do because she was shy. She looked for Caulifla, who was now in Super Saiyan 2 and fighting Goku. Both of them were having fun, just like she was. Even though Kale was weak, she didn't blame her best friend for leaving her. Weak. Those words kept going over and over in her mind. She got teary-eyed and cried with her hands over her eyes. Naruto felt really bad, but that quickly changed when a gold aura appeared around her. The atmosphere had changed, which made Naruto's eyes widen as he remembered this feeling, but it couldn't be. Sad to say, it was. She started to get taller and her body started to get bigger. A few seconds later, she screamed as her energy flared with power. Her hair turned a light green gold color, her eyes were empty, and her face showed nothing but anger. Bardock pushed his opponent away and felt a great power he was used to, but it wasn't coming from him this time. Brawly gave a golden bear from Universe 6 a shoulder thrust, which got rid of it. He could feel the huge power coming from it, so he went after it. Naruto quickly used Majestic SSJ2 and blocked Kale's shoulder thrust, which made him stumble. Still on his feet, he had to block her huge punches, which he had to do again and again because they were getting harder and harder. He tried to give her a kick, but she grabbed him by the throat and slammed him down hard, making a big spider web crack. With his third form, Naruto could get out of this situation, but it's too soon. Kale was shot away and crashed, which was a good thing. He sat up, coughed, and rubbed his throat. Brawly helped him get to his feet. Thanks. It's a good thing you're here, because this girl is strong, Naruto told Brawly as they watched her get up and look more angry. Brawly nodded in agreement. Brawly took a step forward as his body turned golden. Naruto knew what was going on and took a big step back. 004 of AMV Pantera 10. Kale stopped moving as she watched Brawly's power grow quickly. He growled as his iris turned greenish-yellow and shrunk. His aura got much stronger. Before he stopped, his fist was tight and shaking. Suddenly, he threw his head back and screamed in anger. His eyes and mouth both gave off green light. He floated slightly until a blast of energy exploded from him, sending some fighters out of the arena while most of them defended themselves, made a barrier, or took cover. The air had changed again, and just like Kale, it sent out a strong pulse of energy. Brawly was there, but this time he was much bigger, his eyes were blank, and his hair was now spiky and golden green. He was giving off energy, and he let out another angry shout that shook the void. When he saw Kale, he barked. She didn't back down, so he barked back. He can do it too. Caulifla was shocked when she saw Brawly do it. When Goku felt Brawly's energy, it was 10 times stronger than when he first turned into Brawly. This made Goku's face look serious. When Vegeta felt the strong energy, he stopped fighting with Kaba. When he saw Brawly had changed, he asked, "What the hell is that?" But who was the other one? I thought that transformation only happened to Kale, Kaba said in shock. Naruto knew that when these two fought, it would do a lot of damage, so he quickly moved out of the way. Just as he did, the two huge Saiyans charged each other and slammed their grapples together, causing a huge shockwave that stopped some of the fights. Kale tried to push Brawly back and headbutt him hard, but it only made him mad, so he did the same thing back, which stunned her and sent her flying back, but she stayed on her feet. Her mouth opened and a green key appeared. Brawly did the same thing, and they both fired at each other. Since neither of them had the upper hand, it exploded and destroyed a large part of the arena. Brawly didn't expect Kale to come out of the smoke and hit him with a green orb, which exploded and sent him flying, but he landed on his feet safely. Zeno was amazed by Kale and Brawly's show of strength. Shin was amazed and said, "What incredible power from both Universe 6 and Universe 0. Elder Kai said, "I don't think anyone in Universe 6 expected this from one of their fighters, except maybe that Saiyan girl and boy." Beerus never said anything, but Whis could tell that this power made him a little nervous before a fight. As Kale's strength grew, a stone pillar rose up under her and lifted her high into the air, where she sent out another burst of power. Naruto knew what was going on and quickly made key clones that used their instant transmission to find his teammates. Brawly began to gather a lot of energy in his mouth right away. Kale yelled and let loose a storm of green key balls that went all over the place. He opened his mouth, and a wave of green ki shot out, stopping most of Kale's attacks. He didn't stop though, and the wave kept going. He destroyed the ki balls wherever he went. It's as if Brawly was a dragon that breathed fire and lit up the air. Most of the people in the arena couldn't do anything because they were being blasted out of the arena by the attacks from both fighters. Jine was trying hard to avoid the blasts, but one got past her and hit her. She was almost thrown out of the arena, but her husband Bardock, who was in his god form, caught her in his arms. 21 and Majin Buu made a barrier to protect themselves, Cooler and Shallot. Cell used his wings for the first time to get away from danger, but the whole thing made him laugh. Cumber was just standing on a piece of the arena, unfazed by the battle. A key ball came straight at him, but he lifted his hand and easily grabbed the attack, then squeezed it until it broke. Soon, the attack storm was over, and when the smoke cleared, a damaged and destroyed part of the arena could be seen. Brawly jumped toward Kale, who was already ready. AMV Pantera 10, ending at 342. Kale was knocked back by a red-orange keyball, which soon exploded and shook the arena. Brawly looked for the person who did it and found it was the huge gray fighter from Universe 11 with a humanoid shape. Jiren, Japan. Naruto whistled because Jiren took care of Kale so quickly, which impressed him. Brawly could have done it earlier if he had wanted to. Brawly stopped changing, but he still looked at Jiren. Jiren saw him and looked back at him. Until he took a few steps back to his team. The Saiyan stopped staring at Naruto when Naruto put his hand on his shoulder. He told him, "Come on, we still have more to do." Brawly gave a nod and went off to find another opponent. Kid Buu was throwing punches at a fighter from Universe 11 with blue skin, and then he jumped back and hit him with a kick that knocked him down. Kid Buu was having fun and started making noses while beating on his chest like a gorilla. The fighter got back up and was mad about what had happened. He rushed forward and jumped up, then hit Kid in the face with a punch. The warrior laughed, but it didn't last long as Kid kept beating his chest. He fell down and gave Kid Buu a hard kick, which sent him flying, but he kept beating his chest. He crashed into a huge boulder, which broke into pieces and filled the air with debris. The warrior was panting because he finally thought he had it, but it wasn't meant to be. A pink tail got caught on his leg and pulled him into the rubble. Pain sounds and blows were heard. The Universe 11 fighter was shot out of the arena. Tupper of Universe 11 has been eliminated, Grand Priest said. Belmod yelled, "Damn. Universe 11 hasn't lost a single fighter, so I'd say they're probably the most dangerous in this tournament, especially with their god," Margarita said while secretly eyeing the Shinobi Saiyan. Belmod smiled and said, "I'm not worried. We have Toppo, and even if they can beat him, so what? Jiren will be able to finish it." 21 was looking around as everyone fought with their opponents. She felt something from behind and dodged a blast at the last second. She turned around and looked up to see a robot that looked like a man standing on top of a big rock. He said, "Wow, that's impressive. So you're a fighter from the Forgotten Universe." The Forgotten Universe? 21 didn't know what to think. He said, "I am Kahesari from Universe 11, and I am your opponent." Someone said, "I don't think so." Kahesari turned around and got kicked in the face. He backflipped and landed safely. 21 was surprised to see that 17 and 18 had both landed in front of her. 7. 8, what are you doing? She asked them. 17 turned around. He said, "You might be one of our enemies. But you're still our sister." With a small smile, 18 turned to 21. 21 was sad, but this wasn't the time to show it. She wiped her tears away and went to stand next to her brother and sister. 2 more people from Universe 11 joined Kahesari, who, like Naruto, made key blades out of his hands. However, from what 21 can tell, his blades were not as strong. The 3 androids charged, and so did the warriors from Universe 11. Jine, who was an SSJ, dodged a fast slash from the Catwoman from Universe 2, who kept running around and was just a blur. Jine dropped her stance and closed her eyes, going back to her normal state. Once the blue Catwoman landed on a big rock, she dove down with her claws ready. However, Jine quickly turned around, changed to SSJ2, and connected a roundhouse while doing this. She didn't stop. "Goku's mother sure has some skills," Krillin said from the stands after he was knocked out by Frost, who surprised him after he helped 18. "I'm sure that both of Goku's parents were trained by my sister and my nephew," Whis said. Beerus nodded, but he turned his head quickly to look at Whis. "Nephew?" Shin, the elder, and Krillin were all shocked. This made Whis laugh. "Yes, my sister had a baby many years ago. Kagaya told me that Zeno-sama later gave him the power to be the Supreme Kai of Universe 0. Jine shot a velocity of ki blast at the cat she was fighting, but it was blocked by a human boulder that landed in front of her and charged at her. Jine had to block and was sent flying, hitting a stone boulder first on the way back. "I'm glad you got here just in time, Ribrianne," said Kakunsa with a smile. Rosie, the third member of their team, landed next to them and said, "I'm here, too." Kakunsa got up and stood up for her team because she was very sure of herself. Jine looked at her opponents and knew what to do. She would have liked to wait, but she was too excited to try out her new power. She shut her eyes and focused on her breathing as she fell back to normal. After a few seconds, a gold aura started to surround her and slowly changed colors. Suddenly, a familiar red-orange flame-like energy swirled around her from top to bottom like a whirlwind. The flames had gone out because they had been sucked in, and Jine was there, looking the same except for her red hair and aura. Her eyes were now the same color as her hair when she opened them. Whis was surprised by this and said, "Oh my." Beerus yelled, "You've got to be kidding me, and now her too?" Krillin was stunned. He said, "No way, how is that possible?" Shin asked, "What could this mean, Ancestor?" Elder Kai said, "It means that this tournament is harder now that Universe Zero has 3 Super Saiyan gods, one of whom is a former god apprentice." He didn't like how things looked. It's amazing that someone else who isn't a god can use God Ki. Jin, god of Universe 12. Hellas said with confidence, "Universe Zero is strong, but the power of love in Universe 2 will still win." Jine looked at the 3 warrior women and motioned for them to bring it. They went straight at her while she stood still. Ribrianne turned into a human boulder and ran full speed toward Jine. She bounced and tried to slam down on Jine, but it wasn't meant to be. The Saiyan mother just used one hand to catch her. The girls were shocked and quickly moved out of the way when Jine threw the big girl like a bowling ball, smashing everything in her way and knocking others out of the arena. Kakunsa was behind Jine and came at her fast, ready to dig in her claws. But the Saiyan mother saw this coming and quickly turned and hit Kakunsa in the stomach with a knee, knocking the air out of her and making her gasp. Jine kept punching her, and then her right fist turned crimson-orange and she threw a hard punch that probably broke her jaw and sent her flying out of the arena and into the void. Rosie yelled, "Kakunsa." The Grand Priest said, "Kakunsa of Universe 2 has been eliminated." "Wow," said Zeno as he wrote something down. The cat showed up because of her god. Hellas yelled, "Kakunsa," in worry and helped her. Jine was now trying to avoid Rosie's ki blast, which made her jump back far. She saw Rosie throw several strikes into the air, which confused her at first, but things got clearer as more ki orbs formed. Jine was ready to deflect them, but they all shot at her at once. When she looked around, she saw that she was surrounded. Rosie took her pose with her hand out, saying, "You're trapped." She clenched her hand and said, "This is for Kakunsa." Jine stood guard as all of the orbs came together. Someone jumped next to her at the last second. The area was shook by an explosion, and smoke filled the air. Shin said, "She took a direct hit." Both Kagaya and Hagora didn't do anything. Rosie smiled with pride as she said, "I did it." Unfortunately, that changed to a look of shock when the smoke cleared and Jine was shown to be fine. This was because a red aura barrier was made, but not just from her. Bardock, who was also an SSJ god, was in front of her, and their combined energy made the wall. "Are you okay?" he asked. She gave a smile and a nod. "All right." Ribrianne jumped down and hit the barrier with her fist, which only shook but didn't break. Bardock told his wife, "I'll take care of her while you handle the other." His wife agreed. The barrier sent out a shockwave that pushed the 2 female warriors back. This gave the couple enough time to go after their opponents. Bardock went after Ribrianne while Jine went after Rosie, who kept firing ki blasts at her while they both ran. Jine figured out how she fought and then used that against her. They hit and kicked each other, but unfortunately for Rosie, Jine was getting the upper hand. When a kick to the chest knocked her back, she was ready to fight back, but she couldn't because she was surrounded by lots of tiny ki balls. Jine said with respect, "You fought well, and it was an honor to fight you." She then closed her hand, which fired the ki and blew up when it hit something. Cell was on top of a rocky cliff looking for Piccolo. Piccolo had Cell trapped in his Hellzone grenade, which went off and knocked Cell out. He told him to leave the arena. The android laughed and jumped down to him. When Piccolo saw the robot, his eyes got cold. "Cell. It's been a long time since we last fought, Piccolo. I hope you've gotten much stronger since then, Cell said with a smirk still on his face. Piccolo's fist tightened as he remembered how they met for the first time. He didn't want to admit it, but Cell was still strong after all those years of training in the time chamber. Cell had definitely trained before the tournament, but that didn't mean he was going to give up. He ran at the android and disappeared before coming back from behind with a twist kick. Cell saw it coming and dodged it, but the Namekian didn't stop and threw a fast reversed elbow that the android blocked. Is that all? Asked Cell. Piccolo gritted his teeth and started throwing many punches and kicks that Cell tried to block but were being pushed back. Once a kick hit him in the face, Piccolo put his right hand up and fired a strong ki blast that hit the android close to him. Krillin asked, "Did that work?" But knowing the android, he shouldn't have asked. When the smoke cleared, he saw Cell still standing and grinning. Cell said with a sad face, "I'm disappointed in you, Piccolo. I thought after all these years you would get better and give me a good challenge." Piccolo jumped back and started to sweat a little bit. He said, "Oh well, it's my turn," disappeared, and then reappeared in front of Piccolo. This caught Piccolo by surprise, and he was hit with a powerful punch to the chest that made him spit blood and slide across the ground. He got back on his feet as Cell kept throwing kicks that he was blocking while they exchanged punches. The android spun around and faked a back fist, which Piccolo fell for. When he tried to dodge, he got kicked in the face, which made him fall back. Cell didn't stop. He then shot a purple beam from his finger that went through the Namekian's shoulder. The Namekian grunted, but that didn't stop Cell. He was then shot in the knee, which made him kneel down. He came up from behind and smashed the back of Piccolo's head into the ground with his foot. Whis said, "This does not look good for Piccolo." This Cell guy saw all of his attacks coming like they were nothing, Beerus grumbled. That's not surprising, since Cell has fought Piccolo before, and since he has Piccolo's DNA, he knew what would be thrown at him, said Vegeta. Krillin was nervous and sweating. Cell kept slowly crushing the Namekian's head until he saw a blue light and looked up to see Gohan in the air firing his Kamehameha at the last warrior from Universe 10. The Grand Priest said, "Since all the warriors from Universe 10 have quit, Universe 10 will be wiped out." Zeno repeated, "Hi," as the warriors, Kais, and God all glowed and then disappeared. Naruto saw the short female angel let out a sad sigh, which hurt him because he could see in her eyes that she was hurt. He noticed that she was looking at him, so he gave her a comforting smile, which she returned. Cell grinned and said, "Well, this should be interesting." Gohan got back on his feet and felt Piccolo's energy. He turned to look for him, but he didn't find him the way he thought he would. "Missed me?" the robot teased. Cell. Gohan said with a growl, and a small amount of his SSJ aura lit up in his magical energy. "Let him go, right now." As he stepped off the Namekian's skull, Cell laughed and teased him, but not before kicking him hard into the air and then sending him flying out of the arena with a ki blast. The Kais, Whis, and Beerus were all surprised, but Gohan was the most surprised. "Piccolo!" he yelled. The Grand Priest shocked the team by saying, "Piccolo of Universe 7 has been eliminated." When Piccolo showed up next to Krillin, he was unconscious, so Krillin went quickly to give him a senzu bean to wake up. Cell looked at Gohan, who had his fist clenched and a mad look on his face. "What? You didn't even say please." Gohan yelled in anger because that hurt him. His magical energy and SSJ energy both shot up high and lightning crackled around him. His hair stayed the same, but his eyes turned green and burned with anger as he looked at the android. This power was interesting to Cell. "So, you've gotten stronger since the last time we fought." "That's good, because fighting the same way would be boring, so why don't I show you my newfound power?" "What?" Gohan couldn't believe it. Krillin stuttered, "It can't be." Cell yelled as he charged up. The pebbles on the ground moved, and the battleground shook. Red lightning cracked around the android, and a thick golden aura surrounded him. He let out a loud cry that made it hard to see. "Whoa, Cell is changing," Zeno said in surprise. Madden Blues, Golden Cell, theme. When the light went out, Cell had a different look. His skin looked the same, but he wasn't as tall as he used to be. He was now the same height as Goku. He was a bit skinny but strong, and his skin was dark red with black spots. On his chest, shoulders, wrists, upper legs, and feet, there were golden plates. His wings stayed the same. Now, the shape of his crown was more like how he looked, with sharp horns and a gold gem in the middle of his forehead. As his aura flared, red lightning crackled all around him. When the machine opened its eyes, they were red. He laughed and said, "What do you think? After some training, I was able to get closer to Frieza's gold power and your father's god power." Cell then frowned and said, "Unfortunately, I'm not able to fully access them." He then gave a sinister grin. "But, being the genius that I am," he said, tapping the side of his head. This reminded Gohan of the time the android came back after it exploded and killed his father. "I was able to take enough of their energy and combine it with my own. I thought it would take years to control, but thanks to my special training, you're about to see the results." After he said that, Cell and Gohan took their positions. Cell did something very interesting, wouldn't you say, Beerus-sama? Whis asked. Beerus looked like he was very serious. It's brilliant to think that someone could use the power of a god or Frieza's gold to make it their own. Krillin helped Piccolo wake up, and he was scared when he saw Cell's new form fighting Gohan. They had a fight before too long. Song ends at 1:20. Naruto was sitting on a big rock and watching Hit fight a warrior from Universe 11. The warrior from Universe 11 wore the same clothes as Hit's team, but he looked like a rabbit. He listened as the warrior said his name was Dispo of the Pride Troopers and said he would beat the assassins by skipping through time. The majestic Saiyan noticed this, so he knew about the time skip. He's about to find out if he can really beat it, though. Hit took his position, and Dispo did the same. For 30 seconds, neither fighter moved. Dispo jumped at Hit, who was a little startled, but that was to be expected. Suddenly, Dispo punched Hit hard in the face, sending him backwards, but he stayed on his feet even though he fell on a knee. Even Naruto, who lives in Universe 6, was shocked by this. What the hell is going on? Champa asked in a panic. This is definitely a surprise, Vados said. Naruto didn't want to draw attention to himself, so he quickly went into Kurama mode. Only one warrior had noticed, and he was now keeping an eye on Naruto. Hit ran at Dispo, and Dispo did the same. Again, the same thing happened, and Hit spun around in the air and fell hard. Twice, Hit's been attacked twice. Champa was still scared and was sweating. Naruto could see the attacks coming at him because he was in Kurama mode. There was no doubt that this guy had superhuman speed. He looked at the killer, who gave him a small smile and told him about Dispo's speed. Naruto heard Dispo talk about how he can move 1,000 times faster in an instant. Which Naruto had to admit was pretty cool. He kept watching the fight, but Hit letting his guard down. Again, Dispo used his time skip to charge with Hit, but it didn't make a difference. The assassin was hit and sent flying into a boulder, which broke into pieces. Naruto had looked at Dispo and seen that its ear was moving. Even though Hit's hand twitched, those must have been able to figure out what the assassin was doing. He came to the conclusion, he can even read his muscle movements, and went on to analyze the fight. Dispo was in charge as he disappeared and reappeared to land one or more punches. Naruto could see that the assassin was taking hits but avoiding the most important ones. Hit must be getting used to this guy's speed if he can take those blows. The assassin was thrown through some rocks by Dispo and fell to the ground. He got back up right away, but he felt like he was at the edge of the arena. Dispo showed up. He said, "Goodbye," and went for the last blow. But then, everyone in U6, including Naruto, was shocked and amazed to see Dispo go through the assassin and out of the arena, much to the horror of the warriors. He did it. Champa yelled. Naruto had a feeling that something would happen, and he was right. One of Dispo's teammates caught him and brought him back to the arena with the rest of his team. "It looks like it's 2 against 1 now," he said as he watched Dispo and Hit fight the purple rabbit warrior, whose speed was getting faster. Before the assassin could jump for space, the other member of his team caught him and hit him with a lot of punches. Naruto had seen enough and decided it was time for him to get involved. He went away. This time, it's over. As Dispo went for a final punch, everything seemed to move slowly. While Caulifla and Kale were healing, they couldn't do anything. Champa couldn't look, so he covered his eyes. Hit's eyes got bigger when he realized there was no way out. A yellow streak flew up and landed on the ground, making a pillar of yellow and white flames that caught Dispo's punch and shocked him. He asked, "What the hell?" The flaming pillar disappeared, revealing an energy-covered Naruto who was still in Kurama mode, but his hair showed that he was also in his majestic Super Saiyan 2 form. He just stood there with his face blank and his hand still on Dispo's fist. "Who are you?" asked the warrior. Hit was surprised, not because Naruto had saved him, but because he had never seen Kurama's power but had heard Champa talk about it when he watched Goku and Naruto fight. Kale and Caulifla were surprised that Naruto had helped. The shinobi Saiyan yelled as he turned around, kicked Dispo in the chest, and sent him flying into his teammate. Hit made a small frown and said, "I didn't need your help." Naruto let out a small laugh. "Who says I was helping you?" He looked back at Hit with a small smile before turning his attention to the other two. He said, 2 against 1 doesn't seem like a fair fight, but after seeing how fast this guy is, I want to see for myself." The two U11 teammates didn't seem happy about what was happening. Shin said, "It's that energy once again." Elder Kai said, "It's the same one he used with his majestic Super Saiyan 4, but it doesn't look like that's the case." Whis said, "From what I've seen in training, it looks like he's in his second majestic form. He's much faster now that he's using his own power." Beerus bragged, "Show some gratitude to my former apprentice, Champa." This made Champa look angry. He looked away and said, "I didn't need any help." He sighed with relief, knowing that if it weren't for Naruto, Hit would be out. Naruto and Hit stood next to each other and looked at their opponents. Before Hit had a chance to say anything, Naruto told the assassin who was listening, "I just want to say one thing before we fight them." He smiled and said, "Keep up." Both Naruto and Dispo disappeared in a blur, and Dispo went for a punch. But Naruto disappeared, which surprised Dispo, and he took a hard kick to the back that sent him flying. He landed on a boulder and used it as a springboard to get back to Naruto with amazing speed. Dispo thought he had him, so he went for a punch, but it missed by just a few inches. Again, Naruto disappeared in a flash and appeared above with an elbow that hit the back of the purple rabbit warrior's neck and sent him crashing through a boulder, breaking it into pieces. Dispo grunted and held the back of his neck as he slowly stood back up. How are you faster than me?" Naruto said with a smile, "I was watching your battle moves against Hit. I had memorized every attack, so even though you were so fast, I was able to track you." Nani? Dispo couldn't believe it. Beerus said, "His speed seems to have gotten a lot better since the last time we fought." Whis nods and looks at Beerus. He can see that his master is proud of his former student by the look in his eyes. Dispo jumped at Naruto when he got back up. Both of them started throwing quick punches and kicks at each other. As they disappeared and reappeared from every direction, they made a small shockwave. 2 people were watching the fight. Even though the 2 warriors were moving quickly, the 2 people could still keep up with them. The warrior from Universe 11 named Toppo said, "I never thought anyone would be faster than Dispo." Jiren kept his eyes on the battle, but mostly on Naruto, with his arms crossed across his chest. Dispo landed a blow that was blocked by Naruto but still knocked him back. He landed next to Hit, who was taking care of his opponents. Naruto said, "These guys are no joke." Hit said, "Trade you," and then left before Naruto could say anything. Naruto looked at his opponent, who tried to use the same strategy. However, the shinobi didn't know that he had a shadow clone who watched the guys move against Hit. Naruto stopped using Kurama mode because it was too easy. Instead, he became an ultimate majestic Super Saiyan 2 with a white aura. "If this is your best attack, I'm disappointed," he said as he started to move in a zigzag pattern across the explosive key strings. His opponent thought he was crazy, but he was shocked when the explosions didn't hurt him and he moved toward him. He shot a lot of kiss, but they didn't do any damage because Naruto's aura made a barrier that stopped the attacks. He hit his opponent in the stomach with a knee, which made him cough up saliva. Then, a roundhouse that made him crash sent him back. Naruto wasn't done yet, so he made Rasengans the size of orbs and kept firing them at his opponent. Once he stopped, he turned around and saw the assassin holding Dispo by the ear. The assassin threw Dispo where he would have gone out, but his teammate caught him. Naruto saw that Hit was hurt and knew that Hit could handle it, so he left to find other people to fight. He stopped in his tracks and looked up to see Jiren looking at him. They hadn't stopped talking to each other for a half minute, until Jiren looked away without caring. Naruto kept going on his way. As Shallot walked around looking for someone to fight, he noticed that the area was getting a little foggy. Before he went any further, a key laser almost hit him, but he dodged it in time. He looked around, but he didn't see anyone. He turned away another beam that was coming at him. Shallot tried to find out what his opponent's key was, but he couldn't. He moved, and something hit his foot. When he looked down, he saw what looked like a small ball. When he picked it up and looked at it closely, it lit up. Shallot had turned around to avoid another beam, thinking that the orb was following him. He smashed it, but as he did, he felt heat coming from it. He had to jump back when a fast-moving beam shot at him. Oh, I get it now. He must be able to see my body heat. That's why these shots are so accurate. Shallot made key orbs and shot them all over. Shallot thought that nothing had happened because a beam had just missed him. He was right. Before he moved, his instincts told him to get out of the way, which he did as key-style lasers started falling all around him. Damn it, I don't know how to get close. When Cumber ran toward where the attacks were coming from, he knew the answer to his question. The dark red aura that was all around him broke up the lasers that were hitting him. His metal mask sent out a strong black and red key wave that destroyed a lot of the area and revealed a warrior that looked like a tub of blob. Hermila. He shouted to his teammate, who fired a beam at him from a device on his wrist. He took the beam in and fired it at Cumber, but it didn't work. In the meantime, Shallot was charging where the other opponent was, so he turned SSJ. Hermila saw this and started to shoot, but each time, Shallot moved out of the way. He started to go back and shoot at the Saiyan, who was still going after him. The blob warrior yelled, "Hermila, hurry!" and turned around, but that was a mistake. When he turned around again, he saw Cumber in the air and hit him with a punch that broke his jaw and sent him crashing through stones. The blob couldn't get up on its own, so it was picked up by the face. "How sad that you need help from other people," he said with a growl. He threw the warrior into the air and then hit the opponent with a powerful ki blast from one hand. Zeno wrote down that Universe 2's prom was out. Shallot found Hermila, who said he would give up. He didn't believe him, so he sent a golden wave that drove his opponent away. Frost decided it was time to make up for his past mistakes and show that he was valuable to his universe. "So it's true," said a voice. He looked around and saw someone on top of a stone boulder. He was surprised that this person looked just like him, except that he was taller, a different color, and looked older. "Let me tell you about myself," Cooler said. He got up, walked over, and stood a few meters away. The alien tyrant's older brother said, "My name is Cooler." Frost just stared at the handshake and looked him in the eye. He answered, "Frost." Cooler had frowned and said, "I see." At the end, he said in a smug tone, "It looks like you don't respect your boss." Frost had asked, "What?" Cooler kept going even though he was angry. "I had heard that someone else was also my brother, and based on your strength, I'm very upset." Frost was angry about this, and his shaking fist got tighter. Cooler, look at his face and smirk. "What's wrong? Did I hurt your feelings?" Frost couldn't take any more insults, so he jumped back and fired a purple beam at Cooler, who just slapped it away and looked bored. "Is this really everything you've got?" Frost grit his teeth and fired the same attack at the same speed. But none of them had worked because Cooler kept knocking them out with ease. Frost had the power to stop his attack, but he was getting more and more angry as time went on. Cooler put up his right hand and pointed at Frost with his index finger. Frost's eyes got bigger. Before he could do anything, a fast beam went through his knee, making him scream and fall on it. "You couldn't even get away from that. How pitiful are you?" He made fun of U6 Frost Demon, who had finally lost it. Frost yelled, "I'll show you how weak you are." Then he started to change. His body and arms grew bigger, and lightning cracked around him for a few seconds. "What do you think of my full power?" He was looking for fear or doubt, but Cooler's face didn't change. "Pity. Such pity. Let me show you the gaps between us." Cooler grunted, and soon he started to change. He grew bigger as his chest and muscles grew, and his white armor plates started to change into different shapes. His head became covered except for his eyes and mouth, with 4 spikes coming out of it and a large dark blue gem in the middle. Frost was scared when he felt the huge amount of power. Cooler opened his eyes, which were now bright red, and grinned. "Ready to be squashed," he said, and a white armored visor over his mouth kept him from getting hurt. He jumped down to get to Frost, who was firing a lot of beams, but they were just bouncing off his armor. Whis said, "So I guess the rumors were true." Whis looked at Beerus. He asked, "What's true?" "I had heard that King Cold's first child had found a 4th transformation, which Frieza had never done." When I saw his final form back on Namek, his power was much stronger than Frieza's, Piccolo said. Krillin says, yeah, no joke, he's twice as strong. Frost went flying when Cooler punched him in the face. He hit a rock hard with his back, making him cough. Cooler wasn't done, though, and he ran toward the Frost Demon. He speared him through many stones, and when he hit the ground, there was a loud noise and a lot of debris in the air. Cooler walked slowly toward Frost, who had managed to stand back up. Cooler came up in front of Frost and hit him with a series of punches and elbows. Frost's guard didn't last long, though, because each attack broke through it. He was hit hard by a tail, which made him slide across the ground. I'm tired of you already, Cooler said in a deeper voice to the person who was like his brother. He put his hand up and began to make a big orange-yellow key orb. He was about to attack, but a purple beam hit him in the back of the head, making him stop. Frost then ran away. Not happy, Cooler quickly turned around and saw Frieza grinning. He said, I hope I'm not interrupting, even though he knew he had. Cooler didn't lose his cool and laughed. He said to Frieza, I was wondering what took you so long to find me. Frieza stopped smirking and gave him his ice-cold glare. Frieza told Cooler, I'll be happy to wipe out your existence. Behind his mask, Cooler smiled and crossed his arms in front of his chest. He told Frieza, you know you can't beat me. Even if you used all your power, you still wouldn't be able to beat me. Frieza laughed. Ost Golden Frieza theme from 042 to 135. Suddenly, golden flames erupted from the alien dictator's feet and flowed all around him. He stopped laughing and gave a small smile. Let me show you, my dear brother, my true power, which can match that of a god. He yelled as a huge golden light filled the arena. Frieza started to change slowly. His body went from pale to gold, as did his legs, arms, and finally his head. Some of the marks on his head and face were purple. He opened his now red eyes and grinned evilly as his aura of power flared up. He slowly went down as he kept looking at his brother. Frieza smashed his tail on the ground and took a step forward. He asked, what do you think? Gold does look good on me. Krillin said, it looks like Frieza didn't waste any time turning gold against Cooler, since he knew Frieza would win this fight. Shin said, if this power is said to be as strong as Goku's Super Saiyan Blue, then Frieza is stronger. Whis said, something's not right. Shin didn't know what to do until Piccolo spoke up. He told the two people who were looking at the tyrant's brother, look at Cooler. He didn't do anything to show how he felt. Beerus said with a serious look, even Frieza's new power doesn't bother him. Cooler took his arms out of his lap and clapped in a funny way. He stopped and said, congratulations, little brother. I have to say, I'm a little scared by this power. You said it could be as strong as a god, right? Frieza played along with his brother, who he thought was putting on a show to hide how scared he was. Of course, so now you see the difference between us, he said. I'll be nice to you, brother, and give you a chance. Fight by my side, and maybe I'll change my mind about wiping out your universe with you. For a few seconds, Cooler didn't say anything, but then he let out a small chuckle that quickly turned into laughter, which really annoyed Frieza. He gave a cold look when the laughing stopped. Do you really think I'd be so low as to be your dog? He asked. I've heard about your golden transformation and knew from the start I wouldn't be able to compete. Until now. Ascension by Neil Acri is the name of the music that plays at the end of StarCraft II, Heart of the Swarm. Cooler made a fist and began to gather his strength. He grunted as lightning started to crackle around him and small rocks started to gather around him. Suddenly, white flames surrounded him and grew into a huge pillar. Whis, this energy. Beerus said to the angel, who nodded. Yes, my lord, I know, Whis said when he felt the power. Krillin and the Kai were confused because they didn't know what was going on, but when they felt his power, it was the same as Frieza's. Soon, a pair of red eyes appeared in the pillar, which then vanished, revealing Cooler's new and improved form. His whole body had turned a bright silver color, except for the tip of his tail, which was a little darker, and the gem on his forehead, which was now a dark silver color. Frieza couldn't believe it, he didn't know how this could be. He took a step back. When Cooler saw this, he smiled under his mask. This is what happens when I reach my full potential, little brother, he said as his dark silver aura roared with power. I think Silver Cooler is a good name, don't you? Song ends at 107. This surprised Zeno. Wow, Cooler has changed, too. This is so cool. The big priest nodded. It looks like the tournament is getting better. Naruto was a long way away when he saw what happened. When he looked around, he saw Jiren walking toward a blue slime warrior who had Dispo in a hold. Dispo was able to get out of the hold because of the distraction. Naruto looked carefully at Jiren, who took a position. The blue warrior started to turn his arm into a giant. As he tried to bring it down, Jiren quickly threw a powerful punch forward that sent his opponent out of the ring. He couldn't help but drop his jaw. He actually sent his opponent out of the arena with just one punch, and he didn't even touch him. He saw Goku's reaction, which was a mixture of disbelief and shock. It looks like he already knows who he's going to fight soon. Just a question of time, another fighter was knocked out of the arena by Vegeta. When he felt a ki blast coming from behind him, he grabbed it and broke it. When he turned around, he was angry to see that Frost hadn't even bothered to look. When he saw that Roshi was in danger, he ran down quickly and hit the Frost Demon with a solid punch. The Frost Demon went flying and hit a big rock. Roshi was surprised when the Saiyan Prince saved him and asked, "Vegeta?" Vegeta said as he walked toward Frost, "I only came because this guy makes me mad." Roshi blinked as he took off his glasses and let out a low laugh before he passed out from exhaustion and fell out of the arena. He landed next to Piccolo and Krillin, who gave him a Senzu Bean. The Grand Priest said, "Roshi from Universe 7 has been eliminated." Krillin said, "Here, Master." He helped the old master stand up and gave him a Senzu Bean. Beerus said, "You did good, old geezer." Roshi bowed his head and said, "Thank you, Beerus-sama." As the others watched, Piccolo said, "It looks like Vegeta will take care of Frost." Frost came out of the rock and saw that Vegeta was the one who had attacked. He laughed. "Ah, you're here," said the Saiyan Prince, but he didn't say anything as he stood there. "I've been thinking about how to beat you ever since I lost the tournament." Vegeta laughed until he heard something, which caused Frost to move to the side. Behind him, a boulder broke apart, revealing Vegeta, who attacked Vegeta with multiple punches. Vegeta fought back with multiple punches of his own, but when he turned SSJ, he had the upper hand and made the machine stumble back. Vegeta yelled, "Get out of my sight, trash!" and fired his big bang attack, but the machine blocked it, and the attack went around and exploded in the background. This made Frost laugh. "Too bad, your useless words won't do anything to Vegeta." Vegeta saw lava rocks covering the machine's ears. Before Frost attacked, a fast, dark red ki hit the machine and sent it flying into the void. When the smoke cleared, the Frost Demon looked up and was surprised to see someone. When Vegeta saw that it was Cumber, he raised his eyebrows. He knew he would find Cumber soon. He knew something was different about him as soon as he saw him. He was surprised by how fast Cumber moved when he showed up in front of Frost. Frost was also surprised, and Cumber hit him in the stomach with his left fist so hard that it almost went through him and made him cough up blood. He was put in a vice grip and lifted up by the throat. Getting close to the Ice Demon, Cumber spoke. "Weak," was all he said, and he threw another punch, but this time he followed it up with a dark red ki blast that sent Frost through several huge boulders and into the void. The Grand Priest said, "Frost from Universe 6 has been eliminated." Cumber looked at Vegeta, who stayed where he was. "So," he said in a deep voice, "you are the Saiyan Prince." "What does it matter?" asked Vegeta. Cumber said, "Show me your power." Vegeta didn't waste any time. He turned Super Saiyan Blue right away, and electricity started to crackle around him. Beerus said as he watched, "Vegeta's already turning blue." Whis nods and looks like he means it. It looks like he knows that his opponent is not just a Saiyan but also a special one like Broly. Krillin said, "Ah, man, that doesn't sound good." "Vegeta will have to be careful with him," said Piccolo, and a nodding Roshi agreed. Cumber flew really fast, and Vegeta barely blocked a punch before being pushed back by Cumber, who was still moving forward. He broke it, and the two of them fought. Each punch hit the other one, and Cumber was just as fast, but still. He hit Vegeta in the face with a strong right punch. Vegeta just barely managed to get his hand up and block it, but he was still thrown back far before he landed on his feet safely. "Damn it, even in Super Saiyan Blue, he doesn't look tired and can keep up with my speed. What kind of Saiyan is he?" Vegeta was thinking. Cumber came at Vegeta again. This time, Vegeta blocked his punch, but he was still pushed through a lot of big rocks. The prince fell hard when Cumber spun around and kicked him. He fell to the ground and looked in the direction of where Vegeta was. The mess was cleaned up, and it showed that his clothes were scratched. He charged again, and Vegeta did the same. Then the two of them locked hands and squeezed each other. Vegeta struggled as he felt his grip being taken away from him. Quickly, he flipped backwards and put both feet under Cumber's chin. This stunned Cumber and let Vegeta go. Vegeta then used a powerful Big Bang attack to send the Saiyan flying backwards into a stone boulder, which broke. Krillin cheered, "Good job, Vegeta." Roshi said, "There's something wrong," as he felt a dark energy rising. He was right, as the smoke cleared to show Cumber, who had a dark red aura around him. "Whis, that energy is it?" Beerus's eyes narrowed as he felt the energy. Whis nods and looks very serious. "I'm afraid so, my lord. Cumber is letting out dark ki." Beerus did not expect this, so he gritted his teeth. Both Kais were shocked to hear this. Krillin asked, "What is dark ki?" He said something. Dark ki is probably the most dangerous and deadly form of energy. To get it, you have to cut off all ties to your past life and feel nothing but rage and a desire for bloodlust. This shocked the three of them because they had never heard of anything like this. Whis was about to say, "There's more," but he stopped when an SSJ Kaba attacked. "Kaba, don't!" yelled Vegeta, but it was already too late. Kaba went to punch Cumber, but as soon as his fist touched the ki, it was surrounded by a dark aura that spread quickly and made Cumber scream in pain. Vegeta gritted his teeth at this and looked around. He saw that the gold energy was now surrounded by a black and light red aura, but what stood out was that his eyes were no longer making pupils. Kaba looked up and saw him. As soon as he did, he yelled in anger and shot at him, which Vegeta blocked while being pushed back. "Snap out of it, Kaba!" He yelled, but a solid kick hit him, which he didn't see coming, and he took a few steps back. Krillin asked, "What happened to Kaba?" "It's one of its dangerous abilities. If anyone touches it, they'll go berserk and attack anyone they see, but Kaba is faster and stronger than a normal Super Saiyan because of the ki," Whis said. Cumber decided to leave and see if the prince will go after him. Kaba starts to attack Vegeta, who ran away. He had to finish quickly because he couldn't stay blue for too long, but Kaba was making it hard. Once he started to attack, the prince saw his chance and hit him in the stomach with a body shot, making him gasp and fall to his knees. The bad ki disappeared. Vegeta looked up and saw that Cumber was gone. He moved around and tried to find him, but he couldn't. His hand made a fist. He heard Kaba say, "Master," from behind. "Next time, don't rush into a fight without looking at your opponent first." Kaba was surprised that his master was giving him advice. He watched him go. It still wasn't over. Frieza and Cooler fought in the air and then fell to the ground. He was avoiding all of his little brother's attacks, which made Frieza angry. He tried a different move and used his tail to catch him off guard, but Cooler caught him and quickly slammed him into the ground back first, which made him spit saliva. Frieza got his tail out of the grip and ran backwards quickly. He hiccuped and wiped his lips. Behind his mask, Cooler was grinning because he was having a good time. "Is that all you've got, little brother? What happened to that cocky attitude?" Frieza gritted his teeth and stood up in anger. "Don't think you've won yet." He yelled and boosted his power even more before charging Cooler and throwing a barrage of punches at him. Cooler blocked them until he found a gap and hit the young ice demon in the stomach with a knee, making him gasp and fall to his knees coughing hard. Krillin said, "Man, who would have thought we'd see someone take care of Frieza like nothing? Maybe Goku or Vegeta, but not this fast." Piccolo said, "Cooler hasn't even hit Frieza yet, and that one hit hurt him a lot." Roshi said, "This silver form is like Frieza's gold form, but there's something different about this one." "Yes, you're right. I've been paying close attention to Cooler, and this form improves not only his speed and strength but also his senses. That's why he can easily avoid Frieza's attack," Whis said. Beerus said, "Interesting." Frieza slid hard against the solid ground after Cooler hit him in the face with his knee. As Cooler walked toward him, he wrapped his tail around Frieza's neck and lifted him up so he could see. He said, "What a letdown," and then beat Frieza's body. Before letting go, he kicked Frieza in the body, which sent him flying into the boulder. Frieza fell and landed on his knees. He looked up at her and gave her a mean look. "Try to avoid this." He got up despite the pain and fired ki attacks from his finger that hit Cooler. Frieza laughed like he was crazy as he kept firing. Soon, his golden form went away, and he went back to being himself. He stopped attacking and watched as smoke filled the area. When he finally put Cooler down, he was tired and looked slowly happy. He smiled. "What's so funny?" a voice asked from behind. Frieza stopped and stared at the voice with wide eyes. He slowly turned around and saw that Cooler was fine and only had a few scratches. He said, "My turn," and then fired a series of small ki beams from his finger at Frieza, sending the younger ice demon away. Cooler did it until he gave up. When he saw that his brother was still alive, he made a huge sun-shaped ki orb in his hand. "Oh, man," Krillin said, "Frieza's done for." Piccolo said, "And he's not getting up anytime soon." Beerus cursed, "Damn it." Cooler said, "Goodbye, little brother," and was about to attack, but he was stopped when a ki blast hit him in the back. He dropped his attack and saw it was from 17. He said, "I'm sorry if I'm ruining a reunion, but I couldn't watch as you got rid of my teammate." When Cooler saw him, he knew this would be hard. "Sure. Let's see if you can fight me." He got in his fighting stance and charged at 17, who laughed as he came at him. Shallot was with Brawly when they were fighting two machines from Universe 3. Shallot gave a sigh. "I hope I'll have a challenge soon," he said. The answer came when two ki attacks hit the machines and blew them out of the way. Shallot and Brawly were confused when they saw Kale and Caulifla, two Universe 6 Saiyans who were both Super Saiyans. "Be careful what you wish for," Caulifla said with a grin. Shallot grinned and turned into SSJ, which neither of the girls expected. Brawly didn't turn, but he was in his Uzaru state. "You got this, Kale," Caulifla told Shallot as she charged at her in battle. Kale did what Brawly had done and attacked him. When one punch hit another, some of the other fighters nearby could feel small shockwaves. Caulifla and Shallot keep fighting back and forth, but Shallot is starting to figure out how she attacks. When he dodged her left punch, he quickly caught her right kick, which surprised the female Saiyan. He quickly brought her in front of him, where she blocked a punch, but it was so strong that it knocked her back, but she was still standing. Shallot kept attacking as he charged forward and threw a mix of punches and kicks, which caused Caulifla to go on the defensive. She knew she had to get more serious about him because he was good. She would hope that Kale and her opponent were getting along well. Kale slammed her arm into Brawly's, and they both tried to get the upper hand. She clenched her teeth as she was pushed back. Using her free right arm, she slammed her fist into Brawly's face, which surprised him and made him stumble back. This gave Kale a chance to attack, so she slammed her hand into Brawly's stomach, where she made a green ki that sent Brawly back but kept him on his feet. He threw ki attacks at her, which she easily dodged, but she didn't expect them to go off so quickly. They blew up behind her, sending her toward Brawly, who hit her with his right fist, sending her flying and crashing hard into a boulder. "Kale!" Caulifla yelled in worry, which quickly turned to anger. Her power quickly grew, making her gold aura jagged in the electricity around her crackle. She was in SSJ2 again. She grabbed one of Shallot's punches and quickly kicked him in the stomach, which made him spit out saliva. She wasn't done yet, so she threw a series of powerful blows that put Shallot on the defensive. She didn't say anything. It didn't bother him to think about this, but now it was more exciting. He probably doesn't need to hold back as much. He was thrown back by a punch, but Brawly caught him. The Saiyan said, "Thanks," which made Brawly nod. Caulifla helped her up and asked, "Kale, are you okay?" Kale gives a small smile and a nod, but Caulifla can tell she's hurt. "Yeah, I'm fine," he said. They both turned to look at them. Caulifla told her apprentice, surrogate sister, "It looks like we're going to have to step it up." She and her had gained strength. Shallot turned to SSJ2 and yelled, "Let's do this, Brawly." He was pumped up at this point. Taking his position, he and Brawly got ready. Both teams ran at each other at the same time, and they ran into each other. Kid Buu was peacefully sleeping, but someone from Universe 3 was going to wake him up in a bad way. He looked like a superhero because he was wearing blue and white spandex with a P on the chest and a helmet that looked like a mask. The man came down with a glowing fist, and just as it was about to hit, it was caught by Buu, who had just woken up and looked very angry at the person who had woken him up. He gave the man a dropkick to the chest, which knocked him back, but he wasn't done. He jumped at the man and punched him a lot. The fighter blocked as best he could, but it wasn't long before a pink tail wrapped around his neck. Boo got on the ground and slammed his opponent into the ground. The man quickly got back up, but Boo was already attacking and throwing punches like crazy. He stopped, disappeared right behind the man, and gave him a hard kick in the back, which sent him flying. Android 18 and Android 21 were fighting. Both were ready to give it their all and not hold anything back. Jine and Bardock watched some of the fights that were going on. They heard footsteps and saw that it was Toppo. Warriors of Universe Zero. My name is Toppo, and I'm the leader of the Pride Troopers. I've come here to kill you both, he said. Bardock's eyes got smaller, and he could tell this person was strong. He changed into the SSJ. Jine, get back, he told his wife. She didn't argue because she had seen that look on his face many times before she retired from his squad. She told him, be careful, kissed him on the cheek, and ran away to a safe place. She was on a tall boulder far from the fight, but she could still see what was going on. The person who landed next to her was her son, and she knew it. Goku said, looks like Dad is already in Super Saiyan. Nod, Jine. Your father had a feeling about that man, which isn't surprising since he's been on the battlefield for a long time. Bardock and Toppo both waited to attack until the other one did. In a sudden burst of speed, both men ran into each other as their fists hit each other. This caused a shockwave. Both of them blocked and punched each other. Bardock switched things up when he dodged one of the punches and started kicking quickly. He was grabbed and thrown a long way, but he landed on his feet, flew back to Toppo, and fought again. He quickly turned SSJ-2 and hit Toppo with a punch and a corkscrew spin to the face. This knocked Toppo back, but he was still standing. He then hit Toppo with a powerful ki blast, which caused a small explosion. When the smoke cleared, it was clear that Toppo had blocked it and that the only damage to his uniform was a few scratches. You hurt my pride in my uniform, so I won't hold back, Toppo said as he let out some of his energy that could be seen. Bardock thought he was holding something back. He was right, too, because he was barely able to block a punch, but the force of it pushed him back a long way. He felt a little pain because they were much harder, but he didn't care. Toppo kept going until he did a 360 and drop-kicked the veteran, sending him into a boulder. Goku winced when he heard the impact and saw his worried mother. He comforted her by putting his hand on her shoulder, and she looked at him. I think he's going to turn things around, he said with a small smile. Bardock fell off the rock and landed on his knee. He wiped his lip. It looks like I'll have to do more, he said as he stood up and took his place. As his energy went through the roof, he started to yell, and the arena started to shake just a little bit, which made some people stop fighting. Goku was shocked by his father's power, but he soon saw a change that he recognized. Jine was amazed to see this happen. Bardock let out a warrior cry as golden energy blinded the area, causing Toppo to cover his eyes with his hand. When the energy stopped, Bardock was revealed. His golden energy was jagged around his body, golden lightning crackled around his firm, muscled body, and his eyebrows were different. His spiked hair was now long enough to reach his waist, which was easy to see. Bardock had changed into the SSJ-3. Toppo was only a little bit surprised. So, you, too, have been holding back. Bardock's voice was gruff as he said, that's right. So, where did we leave off? They charged at each other and collided again, but this time the impact was twice as strong as the first. Cell and Gohan kept throwing punches at each other, but they never connected. Instead, their fists only made small sparks of ki when they hit each other. They hit each other with their forearms. Cell looked like he was laughing, while Gohan looked serious. Cell said, at least you're much stronger than the last time. Gohan said to Cell, I know you're holding back, but I know you're just playing with me. Cell let out a low laugh. Of course, I was just putting you to the test to see if you had gotten stronger. You haven't let me down, but now. Gohan looked at the ground, which was starting to break up and make a hole. He could see that Cell was becoming more serious. Man, I never thought Cell would be this strong, Krillin said as he became more worried. Piccolo said, it shouldn't be a surprise, since he's been training for the last few days before the tournament. Whis said, yes, and from what I can see, Cell seems to be using some of his real power. Beerus didn't say anything, but he was worried. Gohan didn't back down. He clenched his teeth and wondered how much more Cell was keeping from him if this was only a small part. Cell disappeared in a flash and popped up in front of Gohan. Then he gave him a punch in the gut, which made him stumble and spit out blood. Cell wasn't done yet, so he made a key ball that sent Gohan into a boulder. The GI had a hole in the front and was torn. Gohan fell off the boulder and landed on his knees. He was taking a breath. He never even saw Cell leave. When he stood back up, Cell still had the same smirk on his face. "Is that all you've got?" asked Cell. Gohan was getting more and more angry, but he remembered what Piccolo had taught him. He took a deep breath and got his thoughts together. Piccolo said, "Even though Cell has the upper hand and is playing mind games, Gohan is staying calm." Roshi gave a nod. Any good martial artist knows that fighting when angry makes you sloppy, but someone with a clear head can change that. Krillin said, "If anyone can beat Cell, it's Gohan, not because he has done it before but because he always knows how to get stronger." Elder thought he saw a lavender-colored energy come from the Saiyan hybrid while the Kai were watching, but it was gone. Cell disappeared again, but Gohan dodged a punch and hit the android in the stomach, which hurt him more than he expected. He ran away while holding his stomach, which had a mark on it. "Did you see it?" Krillin asked with surprise. Piccolo said, "Gohan was able to avoid Cell's punch and hit him." Roshi told the two fighters who were looking at him, this is what he needed. Seeing Cell hurt now has given him confidence that he can still hurt him and also look for any other openings. Cell stood up and laughed. "Well, I guess it wasn't too bad." Gohan didn't say anything as he got back into his fighting stance and kept his mind on the fight. He ran towards the android as they started fighting again, but this time it was different. Gohan remembered the attacks from before and dodged them. He blocked a kick with his right knee and hit Cell in the face with a hard punch, which made him stumble. An elbow to Cell's sternum made him spit out saliva, and a hard kick sent him flying back, but he got back up. Cell's eyes got narrower as he thought about this. Something didn't seem right. How did the kid get stronger? It couldn't have been the power boost, because that only happens when a Saiyan recovers from a fatal injury. That's it. Krillin cheered. Gohan was able to land a few more blows, and Cell's reaction showed that it must not have felt good. Piccolo looked at Gohan with a small smile on his face and said, "Remember what I told you, Gohan." "That's it, Cell?" Gohan said, "I was hoping you would try something new, but all I see is the same old thing over and over again." Cell was getting angry, but he kept his cool. He laughed and said with a smirk, "Looks like it's time to stop messing around." Gohan had a serious face, but a small smirk could be seen on his face. When Naruto was high up on a rock, he looked around. One warrior stood out because his eyes were closed and his arms were folded. When he opened his eyes, he saw the Saiyan shinobi. The man heard his name, Jiren, because it was the name of his god, Belmod. Jiren said, "I hear you, my lord," as they talked through their minds. "You don't have to save your power anymore. I want you to beat up both of those Saiyans, Naruto and Goku, from the 7th and 0. "I get it," Jiren said. Belmod said, "I'll leave it up to you, Jiren." Naruto saw Jiren coming toward him, and with each step he took, the whole atmosphere changed. As Naruto felt the power coming from Jiren, he thought, so he's about to move now. Jiren is without a doubt the most dangerous fighter in this tournament. He saw Goku land on the ground and jump down to join him. Naruto told Goku, he's finally going to move again, and Goku just nodded. Goku said, "Yeah," with a stern face, as he felt the air change. The Grey Warrior stopped and stood in the middle of them. Neither of them said it, but they were both very careful around this person. Goku said, "I'll take him first." Naruto was going to object, but this was his only chance to watch Jiren fight. He sighed and jumped far away on a stone, saying, "Be careful." Goku took a turtle-like stance. Jiren's eyes got a little bit more narrow, and a strong gust of wind blew. Naruto felt this, and a drop of sweat formed on his temple. He knew this wasn't all of his power, just a tiny bit. He watched as Goku didn't move, and he could tell the Saiyan was a little nervous. Goku didn't let that stop him. He charged up and fired a Kamehameha at Jiren, who was still standing. Surprisingly, the attack didn't even hit Jiren because it was blocked. Kagaya told Naruto in his thoughts that Jiren's power was so strong that it made a pressure field around him that worked like a wall. This made Naruto very impressed. He kept watching as Goku turned into SSJ-2 and charged at Jiren with a straight punch to the head, which did nothing to the warrior. Goku kept going with kicks and then repeated punches, but Jiren didn't even move. Naruto could see what Goku was doing and thought it was a great idea. He kept analyzing the match when Goku jumped back and turned into Super Saiyan God. He rushed at Jiren with a powerful punch, but this time the Grey Warrior blocked it with his left index finger. Naruto was a little surprised that Jiren had to block, but even though Goku was now throwing multiple fast punches, Naruto's finger was able to stop them all. He saw Goku stop and step back. He knew what he was going to do. Goku powered up as he shouted and turned SSJ blue with his aura flaring until it died. He stepped forward and faced the warrior of Universe 11. Silence stood between them for about a minute. Goku made the first move and threw a punch that Jiren blocked, but he still flew back as he hit back first into a giant stone. Goku followed and slammed another punch, but Jiren kept pushing as they went through the stone and started to fight. Jiren had the upper hand at first, but Goku turned the tables and almost hit him with a Kamehameha, but he dodged it. Goku went for a kick, but Jiren blocked it and grabbed him. He had to use SSJ Blue with Kaioken to get out of Jiren's grip. They fought fiercely all over the arena, but Jiren had the upper hand and landed a hard punch to Goku's sternum, sending him flying into the. Goku grunted in pain as Jiren walked up to him and put his boot on his spine. This hurt Naruto, but it wasn't over yet. Jiren grabbed him by the hair and brought him close to his face. Jiren said, "It's over." He gave Goku another punch to the sternum, which made him spit up saliva. A reddish-orange ki ball formed inside Goku and shot through him, going through 3 huge boulders. Jiren cried, "Kakarot!" for her son. Before Jiren could finish his job, he felt an energy and saw a hand with a blue and red aura hanging off the edge of the cliff. Goku jumped up and looked at Jiren. Goku said with a small smirk, "Where do you think you're going?" At this point, Jiren was getting angry. Goku's aura gave him power and let him fly. He tried to land a punch, but he was suddenly hit by an invisible blast that sent him crashing through rocks. Naruto was shocked. He didn't see the attacks, but he knew they hurt because Goku was back to normal. He has to help now, but he heard the Saiyan who was born on Earth say that he has been keeping something from them. He jumped on a few tall stones, then on the tallest one with both arms up and his hands open. Naruto's eyes got bigger as he thought back to what Goku had told him about this technique. "Okay, everyone, I need all the energy you can give me, so let's go." Goku shouted. Gohan said, "Take as much of mine as you need," as his energy, along with that of 17, 18, and even Buu, was showing. The 3 of them are Roshi, Krillin, and Piccolo. Naruto could try to help. "Guys, give Goku your energy," he shouted as he gave what he could. Jiren said, "You can do it, Kakarot," as she gave her strength. Bardock thought, "I'm sorry, Kakarot. You've changed a lot since you were a child." The same thing was done by Brawly, Shallot, and Kid Buu. Cell, 21, and Cooler all did, too. Cumber, like Vegeta, didn't want to help. Every bit of energy had come together and made a big sphere. Jiren was hit with the sphere, which destroyed everything in its way. As the sphere got closer to Jiren, it looked like the battle was over. Up to. The Grey Warrior was starting to push the sphere away with just one hand. This made Naruto's jaw drop. Goku changes into SSJ Blue to push back the Spirit Bomb, but Jiren was already doing the same thing with his other hand. Goku fought hard and got his Kaioken to level 10, but he was still fighting hard. He didn't have a choice, so he turned times 20 and started to fight back quickly. Jiren put in a little more effort and grunted as the attack finally hit the Saiyan and was almost completely eaten. Even though the big ki sphere was high in the air, Goku held on to it and gave a shout, which pushed the attack away. Jiren stopped pushing when his arms were down, and he closed his eyes until the ki bomb was pushed back and his eyes open. It started out small, but all of a sudden, it grew very big and brightly lit up, which made everyone stop and stare. Jiren, like Bardock, was worried about things. Goku fell into the orb just as the attack was about to go off. The orb exploded into a bright light. Many of the fighters didn't move when gusts of wind hit them. After it stopped and the light went out, only a crater was left from the attack. Jiren dropped to the ground. She screamed and cried, "Kakarot!" Gohan's face was shocked as he said, "D-Dad." "No. Kakarot. Bardock felt nothing. His mind kept going over what he had just said. He was upset, especially with himself. Naruto's fist tightened up when he saw this. Hold on, if he's dead, shouldn't Jiren be disqualified? Asked Champa. The Grand Priest said, no, since the attack was technically from Goku, it has been ruled out because he destroyed himself with his own attack. Jiren left the crater and walked away. After a minute, the arena started to shake, which surprised everyone. Naruto saw something come up from the ground of the crater. A huge light peeked out of it before it exploded into a pillar. Goku could be seen coming up out of the ground in the light. Jiren went over to the crater to get a better look. The light went out, and Goku could see. Even though his clothes were torn and he had cuts all over his body, the most noticeable change is in his eyes and aura. His eyes were now silver, and he was back to normal, but his aura was like nothing they had ever seen before. Goku turned around and gave Jiren a hard look. He took a step forward, and the next thing Naruto saw was Goku floating above Jiren, who had just dodged a kick. Goku then turned around, and Jiren went for an uppercut, but the Saiyan easily moved out of the way, leaving behind a trail of blood. Just then, Goku came out of nowhere from behind while Jiren turned around and wiped a cut on his cheek. Naruto was surprised by what happened and saw the two warriors fighting in the air. With every punch, they sent out a shockwave. No one could keep up with how fast they were going. As their blows got stronger, it got more dangerous. Lightning was made when their powers hit each other and rubbed against each other. It struck all over the arena. Goku let out a roar and kicked Jiren in the stomach. Everyone was taken aback. He shot a strong ki blast, which knocked Jiren down and sent him flipping back into the air. He landed on the middle ring pillar. Jiren landed without falling. Goku threw himself at Jiren and ran at him with his fist back at full speed. As he flew down, he roared. Nearly everyone was waiting for this attack. He threw it, and when it exploded, there was a strong shockwave that made smoke cover the area. Jiren said, Saiyans are pretty interesting, but... When the air cleared, he could see who had stopped Goku's punch, but he had a red aura around him. The blue-silver aura that was around Goku slowly went away. Jiren's attack got stronger when he said, this heat. That's all you can do, he said as he fired the attack, which sent Goku flying when he hit the pillar. Naruto would have rushed to help Goku, but he saw Jiren coming at him in Super Saiyan God form. When he saw Jiren, he had to move quickly. He changed to MSSJ2, used his aura to fly, ran at Jiren, and threw a powerful punch, but Jiren easily blocked it. So, Saiyan of Universe Zero, you finally decided to show yourself, Jiren said. Naruto said, sorry if I kept you waiting. Goku laid down against a rock. His energy was gone, and he was now an easy target. He heard someone, and thank goodness it was his mom coming to help him. Jiren asked Kakarot, are you okay? As she looked at his wounds. Yeah, I'm just totally out of energy, Goku said. His mother gave him some of her energy, and all of a sudden his body felt warm. When the feeling went away, he got up because his energy was back. Jiren smiled and turned back into a human. She asked, better? Goku looked at his hands and tightened his grip. He made a happy face. Thank you, Mom. The two of them felt a sudden rise in energy and went to see what was going on. They jumped up on a tall stone and saw that Jiren still had Naruto's fist in his hands. He said, looks like it's Naruto's turn. This was another match that everyone was excited to see. He had seen Jiren's power for himself, so he was curious about what Naruto would do. Kai said, so, the Saiyan from the new universe has decided to show himself, just as we expected. Belmod grinned and said, perfect. Jiren may not have killed Goku, but he'll kill this one for sure. Margarita didn't say anything, but she looked at her long-lost older sister, who didn't move. She can't tell what she's thinking, so this should be interesting. Naruto tightened his jaw. He yelled and pushed himself harder to turn MSSJ3. Jiren still didn't move. Naruto threw his free hand, but it was also caught. He was quickly spun into the air and Jiren went for a punch, but he dodged it at the last second. He then used his momentum to throw a kick, but it was blocked and he was hit in the face. Jiren charged in and threw a bunch of punches that Naruto blocked, but each one hurt like hell. It wasn't over yet. He couldn't go on like that for very long. He yelled as he changed again, and a bright light filled the area. It died soon after, and Naruto saw it in MSSJ4. He also hit Jiren in the chest with a punch, which shocked him and sent him flying back, but he landed on a tall stone. Naruto looked up with a serious face that had a small smile on it. He said, "Let's see how you handle Majestic Super Saiyan 4. Jiren kept quiet. Beerus said, "He actually landed a punch. It may not have done much, but it's impressive since he's now on his 4th form." Whis said, "From the looks of it, Naruto changed in the same way that Goku did, but he will have to be careful when he faces Jiren." Naruto looked up when Jiren looked down at him. "Do you really want to beat me?" asked the warrior. Naruto didn't answer right away because he was using some of Kurama's chakra to make a golden aura around himself. "Yeah, I do," he said. In a flash, he was gone, and Jiren saw him standing there. Both people were standing still and staring at each other. Naruto disappeared and then showed up behind Jiren. He went to punch him, but Jiren turned around quickly enough to throw a punch of his own, which pushed Naruto back. He disappeared again and appeared below with a rising kick that Jiren sidestepped and grabbed his leg, but he disappeared out of Jiren's grip and tried to knock Naruto off his feet, but Jiren did a 360 in the air and landed on both feet, stomping down on Naruto, who blocked it with his arms, making a spiderweb crack in the ground. Naruto disappeared and appeared above with a punch, but Jiren blocked it and gave his own, which hit Naruto in the face. Naruto tried going to the right, but it didn't make a difference. He was in his stance when he jumped back. He starts to get a sense of how Jiren moves and attacks. Even though he may have been hurt physically, it was worth it. He did this over and over again as he disappeared and attacked from different directions, but Jiren was able to stop them all easily. Krillin asked, "Why does he always attack in the same way? Jiren knows where he'll come from." Roshi said, "I wouldn't be so sure." Krillin looked at the man in charge. He asked, "What do you mean, Master Roshi?" The older martial artist told his student, "Watch." Naruto was sent flying, and he hit a big rock that fell apart quickly. When the mess was gone, he could see. He had cuts all over his body and face. Naruto moaned, "Oh man, I think my ribs are broken." "About 2 of them," a voice he recognized said. "You've been looking around, huh?" said Naruto. "Yeah, he's not a joke." "You can't fool around anymore," Kurama told him. He said, "Yeah, I got what I needed." He stood back up and looked at Jiren, who gave him a cold look and said, "Do you realize now that it's pointless to fight me?" Naruto laughed and wiped the blood off his lip. "We haven't even started yet," he said. He closed his eyes, and the golden aura disappeared as it was absorbed. Suddenly, a swirl of orange flames surrounded him, and Naruto appeared in his Super Saiyan God form. "Well, it looks like he's finally showing his God form," Belmod said with a cocky smirk. "That won't matter to Jiren." Jiren blocked a kick from Naruto, but he didn't expect another clone to appear in front of him and punch him hard in the chest, sending him sliding on his feet and crashing through a couple of stone boulders. "What the heck is that, a copy?" Champa wanted to know. "You're right, Champa-sama," said Kagaya, who was speaking for the first time since the tournament started. "Naruto-sama can make as many clones as he wants, but this one is different because it's not made by his normal energy but by his god ki." The gods were shocked when Whis said, making the clone look like a real Naruto. Jiren stopped as he got close to the edge of the arena. "Your attack is useless," he said, but he saw a mark on his chest where the punch hit. Suddenly, he was surrounded by an orange aura that made him stiff. As he tried to move, he looked at his closed fist. Goku said as he got close to the fight, he stopped Jiren from moving. Was this his plan? Belmod was shocked and worried. What's wrong with Jiren? Jiren's movements were being held by Naruto's clone, but there was a sign that he was having trouble. "Now, Naruto, take this chance," Kurama said. Jiren was able to lift his head and look at Naruto, who was standing on a boulder as he changed into his majestic Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan form and held out his hand to make an energy sphere that grew bigger and bigger until it was half the size of Goku's spirit bomb. Krillin was shocked by how big the sphere was and said, "Whoa." "Jiren could be out of the fight if this works," Piccolo said. Beerus and Whis didn't say a word as they looked. Jiren's cold, black eyes glowed like fire, and he moved forward with little effort. Naruto's clone gritted his teeth as he tried to hold the man back. Naruto focused on this attack and put everything he had into it. He and Kurama added their chakra to the sphere, which was white, orange with gold, and light blue. Jiren kept coming closer and closer. Naruto knew the attack was ready, so he quickly jumped into the air and came down with it. This is it, Jiren. This is the power of Universe Zero thanks to the help of my friends and everyone who has fought with me. He yelled and went in for the last blow. But Naruto's eyes got very big when he saw Jiren stop the attack with just a look. Not at all. Goku said, surprised. Elder Kai and all the gods were shocked when he said, he actually stopped it with just a look. He started to get out of the aura and grabbed the Rasengan. What? Naruto was stunned. Are we friends? Jiren asked as the Rasengan shrank, and when it was back to its normal size, he started to squeeze it. What a waste of time. The Rasengan was crushed right away, and it broke up into tiny pieces of energy that disappeared. Naruto couldn't believe what had just happened. This guy was a monster. He quickly went to attack him with flashing punches, but he was easily dodging them. His clone appeared, but before he could move, Jiren looked at him and his eyes flashed red. Suddenly the clone felt multiple punches all over that went through and destroyed him. The attacks kept coming and hit Naruto all over the body. He tried to block them but they were too strong. Kale and Caulifla were still fighting Brawly and Shallot. As Naruto flew by them quickly, he broke through a boulder and sent a strong wind their way. What the heck was that? Caulifla said as she and Kale hid their faces. Who is Naruto? Shallot said, covering his face. Still, the Saiyan shinobi was sent flying until he crashed into a huge boulder, which then fell apart and filled the air with pieces. Once the dust settled, the collapsed pile of stones could be seen. Naruto lifted a big piece off of him and panted hard. His white sleeveless gi had holes, and the right side of his pants was torn. Damn it. What can I do to stop this guy? When Jiren showed up in front of him, his eyes got very big. Kurama tried to warn Naruto, "Kit move." But it was too late. Jiren said, "It's over." He fired a ki ball from his right hand at the shinobi's body, sending him flying into the air. Naruto clenched his teeth as he tried to stop the attack. He used the last of his ki to transform, but it didn't work. As the attack grew and was about to go off, Naruto's eyes got heavy and he started to lose consciousness. As the attack grew and was about to go off, he saw flashes of his friends, family, and enemies. The last thing he saw before he finally fell asleep was the face of his parents. Jiren turned around and folded his arms. The attack lit up the sky, and many of the fighters used their shields to protect themselves from the blast of wind that followed. Everyone in the room looked at the seat next to Kagaya, but Naruto didn't show up. "He's not here?" asked Krillin. Belmod made a sad face because he knew Jiren didn't kill him. Jiren had felt someone behind him, and when he slowly turned around, he saw Naruto. His black long sleeves were torn, leaving him without sleeves, and his pants were scratched and torn. Theme of Ultra Instinct. The Saiyan shinobi stood with his back to the crowd. He slowly turned around with his eyes still closed. When he opened his eyes, everyone could see that they were now dark silver. As he turned, a light silver aura slowly wrapped around his body, and his face was serious and focused. Jiren looked at him and threw a fast punch, but Naruto tilted his head just a little to avoid it. Jiren kept going, but the same thing happened again and again, which made him a little angry. Naruto dodged another punch and hit Jiren right in the chest with his own, which hurt him. Jiren gasped and spit out saliva as he held his now bruised chest. He made Jiren hurt. Belmod was shocked and stood up. Krillin said, "Wow, he dodged Jiren's attacks like they were nothing and still hurt him." Piccolo said, "That aura, it's almost like Goku's." "Is it possible?" said Roshi. Beerus was at a loss for words for the first time. His student had done something that had taken him centuries to master. Whis was happy about this. Both Naruto and Jiren gave off their power as they looked at each other. Naruto quickly flew to Jiren, whose glare sent out several invisible blows that he avoided. When he was in front of Jiren, he threw lightning-fast punches that put the Grey Warrior on the defensive as he blocked them. Champa said, "Now it's Jiren's turn to defend." Ivan of Universe 1 said, "It's amazing that two mortals in this tournament can tap into that power, and the other can match it with raw power." Jin of Universe 12 said, "It's safe to say that this tournament is more than outstanding." Jiren was still on his feet when Naruto hit him in the stomach with a reverse kick. He appeared in front of Jiren much faster and connected his knee to the stomach, making Jiren gasp as he was pushed back. When Jiren looked up, he saw Naruto waving his arms up and down, and each movement left an afterimage. His aura became more like Goku's, but instead of bluish silver, it was silvery white. For the second time, Jiren's aura was showing. Both warriors flew at each other in the air, where they hit each other with punches that made small sonic booms. Neither man slowed down, even though they were throwing multiple punches. Whis said, "He has come a long way." Beerus gave a nod. Goku was amazed by this power. So this was what Ultra Instinct was and how strong it had made him. Both Kagaya and Hagora smiled. As Naruto kept throwing punches, his dark silver eyes lit up. He let out a roar that was a mix of his Uzaru, and he hit the guy in the chest with a punch. Everyone there had different feelings. Jiren was thrown far away by Naruto's ki blast, but he landed on his feet. Naruto then made his Rasengan, which took the color of his aura, and shot it at Jiren while holding the sphere back with his hand. He roared as he hit Jiren with his attack. The ring was shaken by a huge explosion.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.